Bulvinaka, and welcome to Talk Business, and a special welcome to all our viewers tuned in from across the region. First up on Talk Business, we take a look at this call center and the personalized services it offers, and how such a call center increases efficiency for our national carrier Fiji Airways. Then later on the show, we check out the electronic dance music industry and how a group of disc jockeys are trying to establish this genre of music here in Fiji and tap into this lucrative niche tourism market. The Pacific Centrecom Fiji Limited is the call center that further strengthens Fiji Airways' continuous expansion on the global scene. It's a joint venture between Pacific Centrecom Limited, a subsidiary of Fiji Airways, and an Australian Maltese company, Pacific Centrecom Limited Company. The call center has come a long way since its opening earlier this year. The center came into existence when Fiji Airways wanted to insource their contacts and operations within Fiji.
One of the core drivers that brought Fiji Airways to the table was the fact that they wanted to have a greater control over how their brand was marketed globally and to understand how the front door of their operation, their contact center operation, was interfacing with their customer. So we've actually designed an operation based on a transparent model where we work not only for Fiji Airways in this case, but their manager responsible for reservations globally is based in our operation as well. So we have a transparent model where we provide services to Fiji Airways. We work with them to drive their revenue growth, and we work with their management team to understand how their customer needs are changing and how we change the model of servicing to meet that customer need.
Pacific Centrecom is a business process outsourcing company. From a resourcing point of view, the company is more than 90% Fijian.
We're looking at areas within the airline where they want to grow, and one of the services at the front end that they're looking at is, of course, Singapore. They've announced their new services that will commence in April next year, and we're actively now recruiting to service that business. We'll start in January, and what will happen is that we will start servicing the demand for that business, and of course that will help us grow in conjunction with Fiji Airways.
In the last month, 25 additional staff have been recruited. By the end of the year, the company will have a staff number of around 90.
The only exceptions, apart from myself, are the multilingual staff that we have to provide, and we tried diligently within this market to get some Chinese speakers, and unfortunately we're unable to, so they're the only outsourced group that we have. But as we get into Singapore, Malaysia and India, we'll be using again the skills that exist within Fiji to service that demand.
English, Fijian, Mandarin and Cantonese are the current language services provided by the center. The center handles around 2,000 inbound calls per day. Breakaway Travel Group, an Australian-based center and aviation online, and Lido Group, a data entry services and back office processes are other clients.
We identify their corporate clients, their Tambua Club, their loyalty member groups, and we service them individually comparatively to the rest of the business. So travel agents as well as the general public. Fiji constitutes probably half of our core volumes for Fiji Airways, and then the US and Australia is a close third. So there's also New Zealand, Hong Kong, and as I said, we will get into Singapore in January. So for Fiji Airways, it's quite a diverse market and multilingual at the customer's choice. For our other clients, it's Australia, New Zealand markets. We also have another client which is called the Lido Group, and that's a back office function where we do some invoice validation on their behalf. So it's a small team of people based in our business, and their job is to look at invoices in, validate that the accounts are valid, and then they provide that information back to our client. So we're an outsourcing business that are prepared to look at all sorts of opportunities. We primarily have a background in airline, but that doesn't limit us to an airline operating logic.
For staff, an intense 8 weeks of training is done before an employee makes their first call.
Although we are a service provider, our job is to ensure that we understand our client's primary need. And for Fiji Airways, as an example, their primary need is to generate revenue through seat sales. So in our 8-week training period, we spend a lot of time focusing on how to sell. We also give them a lot of technical training, and we teach them how to communicate effectively over a telephone. It's quite different to doing it face-to-face. You have to create a rapport with the client. So we spend a lot of time practicing those sorts of skills. We want them to have a strong English accent, so that even with our Chinese speakers, we spend a lot of time with them because the language itself doesn't lend itself well to speaking English over a telephone. So we spend a lot of time with our Chinese speakers, getting them to speak more fluently in English. And again, this is another great example of how Fiji has worked for us. In India, you have that traditional, the birthplace of outsourcing businesses, I would say, and you have that apprehension, particularly in some markets like Australia, where if they're speaking to somebody in India, they tend to not be as comfortable as they are with speaking to somebody with a strong English accent. In the Philippines, it's a better example of how to speak more fluently in English. However, their attrition rates are somewhat stronger than what they are in Fiji. We've found in Fiji we have a very good blend of strong English speaking, easily understood, they're adaptable to multilingual, and the attrition rate is quite low.
Getting the IT infrastructure workable is a challenge faced.
We're working towards developing a local manager to run this business, and again, this is part and parcel of understanding the challenges that we face with establishing a business here, is that we want to make it Fijian-centric. The IT infrastructure is something that is a challenge for Fiji generally, but it's something that's improving, and I believe in the next couple of years will be well and truly centred.